Hi, lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Belinda Strana. Thank you so much for all the love and support. To my returning subscribers, to those people that share my videos, leave commentaries, and also educate each and every one of ours, you guys are the real MVP. So lovely, I came across this video on my For You page on TikTok, and I thought to share with you guys where this Indian American woman decided to set records straight away to some delusionals that refuse to understand from her own perspectives. I'm just going to roll the clip as well as some of all the stitches I was able to put together. Please leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video, and please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. Alright, lovelies, let's dive into it.
How much of our national politics is just because dudes weren't cool in high school? Vivek Ramaswamy went in some sort of rant yesterday about H1B visas and how Americans are mediocre because we like sports and we need to bring in Indians. Now, I would say that the tech sector wants H1B visa people because they're basically trapped here and have to work however many hours. And Vivek Ramaswamy likes those people because he was raised in a very conservative Hindu family, and a lot of Indians who are immigrating now he perceives as being conservative like him. And I would argue that both he and tech want Indians who are coming out of an Indian education system because that's one that trains for rote learning and basically following the rule. Whereas the American education system ideally is training for creative thinkers. Many children were left behind though, so that is a little bit harder. But certainly Americans will dissent more than a lot of other workers. Either way, Vivek Ramaswamy went to St. X, one of the most prestigious private schools in Ohio, and it is known for its sports, particularly football. And in listening to the rant, and then people like Steve Bannon being mad because Vivek Ramaswamy was acting like a white guy, right? I mean, that's what Vivek Ramaswamy was doing. He was saying, you are not as good as me, you white people, which Steve Bannon got real mad about because it's only white people who are allowed to say they're the best. And then Elon Musk got in on it. But as I'm reading all of their discourse, all of it is about, I need to be at the top of a cultural hierarchy. And they just all seem like there's something broken inside. Like they didn't get to be cool and they're going to make the rest of us suffer. If you're not black or Native American, you didn't put enough sweat equity into this country either. So this commenter was saying, America first, us first, no immigrants. And listen, all of us here who are not black or Native American are settlers. Native Americans own this land. Black Americans were not choosing to come here. And this is why I particularly revile South Asians who spent a whole lot of time on the left trying to take down Kamala Harris. It was their anti-blackness and their desire to be white and to forget that we are settlers on this land. And at least a portion of those South Asians are also settlers in South Asia, thanks to the Aryans who settled over successive terms and then quickly took authority in the system. So if you really believe in America first, center Native Americans and Black Americans. The rest of us have no claim to that. Actually, this is something that I don't ever hear anybody talk about. The reason that Kamala Harris could marry a black man and then her family in India still, connected to her. Her temple, for example, prayed for her election. Her mother's family is still very much part of her life. You could see them in a lot of videos that was during the election, is because India was very different when Kamala Harris's parents were married, and the immigrants who came in the 50s, 60s, and 70s were from a very different culture than the ones who came in the 80s and 90s. So directly after independence, India knew that it needed to deal with caste awareness. And so if you look at the Constitution, there was a lot of protections for people who are less privileged castes. There is basically a quota system in a lot of governmental legislation to prevent people from privileged castes getting more than people from unprivileged castes. Now, in practice, most politicians played on the natural tendency of people to want to be better than others, and caste has not disappeared, but actually become exacerbated, particularly in the rise of Hindu nationalism in India. And in the last few years, you see a lot of prejudice against people, not only by caste, but also by religion. It used to be in India that there were more Muslims in the nation of India than Pakistan and Bangladesh put together. And it's prejudice against Muslims in the 80s and 90s that has changed that. So what does this have to do with Kamala Harris? I think that so many people during that election said, oh, and Indians really hate black people. And yes, a group of Indians absolutely does. It's the Vivek Ramaswamy wave that really does. Partly because they came in and there was a critical mass of Indians and they could self-isolate, but partly because of the politics they were coming out of. Kamala Harris's mother came out of an India that was much more similar to American civil rights, and then came into the American civil rights era and saw herself allied with Black Americans. My own parents came in that wave, lived and worked in a community that was a lot of African Americans and African immigrants. I wasn't raised with that BWI. I think that's the acronym. I always forget because I wasn't raised with it. Basically this idea that marry anybody but a black person. But that also highlights why so many of the people who identify with the Trump administration who are Indian are newer wave immigrants. Hindutva and MAGA are the same thing, just a different religion. No human being skin is the color black. My hair is arguably black. My shirt is black. Nobody's skin is that color. The people in the United States who are descendant of enslaved people are called black, but they are not actually black. I can't believe I have to say this out loud. And there are people with lots of skin tones from the continent of Africa, of many shades of brown. Even this person who has this gorgeous, flawless skin, is this airbrush? Is not the color black. Conversely, don't let the skin lightening culture of India make you think that everybody is super fair. There are lots of skin tones in India, and a lot of them are very dark. Some reads Krishna is because he was so black as to be blue. Also, there are people from the continent of Africa who are Indian, called the Siddhis. These are African, and they're Indian, and they're still not the color black. We don't fight colorism by making stuff up. So to recap, commenter, and anybody else who got a little confused, literally no human being can physically be the color black. People who are ethnically in some way African can have lots of skin tone, even very dark skin, which is still not black. Indians can be lots of skin tone and can be very dark and can be ethnically African. And judging people based on their skin color is wrong. I thought I should throw that in there because everything else seems wrong in this comment. I didn't correct that black woman that Indians are racist because they're racist. She's right. We have to have a reckoning. That's why Vivek Ramaswamy and Usha Vance are happy to side with MAGA. That's why Nimrata is pretending she's a white woman. And that's why in this election, while Indians still by minority voted the most Democratic, we have a bigger section that is now voting Republican. It's because Indians have a built-in anti-blackness and colorism. And when you argue with a black woman to say that, well, we're not as dark as black people, one, you prove to me that you don't know a lot of black people. I grew up with lots of black people who were definitely lighter than me. Not that I'm kind of in the middle, and I grew up with Indian people who were darker than black people. And you would be lying. Or you have not met enough Indian people to see people of different colors. But what I think is actually happening is you are deeply racist. And you would like to believe the fair and lovely myth that we can bleach ourselves away from being brown and that we can pretend to be white. And I got bad news for you. We're not. And I'm actually very proud to be brown. Sounds like you're not. No one is smarter than you. This idea that we can rank intelligence is very socially constructed. There are numerous studies that talk about how IQ tests are biased because they are built by people and they test very specific kinds of knowledge. And it is knowledge they're testing, not intelligence. So knowledge is something you accrue. And because everybody's brain works differently, we accrue different kinds of knowledge. For example, at work, I notice that each of us in the office are different kinds of learners. I am somebody, if I hear it, I will likely remember it. Another one of my colleagues, if she reads it, she will remember it. She and I are equally smart, equally effective in the workplace. Our brains just work differently. And notice what I said in the second part. It's not about smarts, it's about effective. And that's the other thing about intelligence. We, in our society right now, privilege certain kinds of usefulness. Often ones that are associated, for example, with textual learning. Doctors read journals. Lawyers read cases. They get paid more than somebody, let's say, who does plaster work. Because the plasterer learned his craft by using his hands. But they all have functions in our society. And, I could have used the example of plumbers, but their scale often is more than, say, a pediatrician. But like plumbers, we couldn't live without them. And what does this even matter? It's because if they allow us to think we're not smart, then we don't try to learn. And it's particularly important when we're thinking of it even systematically. When we think like this commenter that Indians are smarter than East Asians. Those kinds of racial assessments about intelligence are incredibly false but also harmful. It's in fact how we end up with the Vivek Ramaswamis of the world. Because they start believing that cred, that Indians are smarter, when likely he had the ability to speak English from an English-speaking parent. He had a parent who had gone through graduate education, so he could do it. He had a leg up and a punch.
Like, seriously, Lolis, Indian Americans never actually thought that a day like this will come. A day like this will come that so many people wouldn't want them. So many people will want them so out. Even if they actually want to be white so much, they want to try, it's not going to happen. I like all of the controversies with this H1B visa. This is just giving you can never be accepted. You are a minority and there's nothing you can do about it. I like that part about all of this controversy. Some POC people, both Indian, Asian, Hispanic and all of that, often think that maybe because they have some similarities with pine color, that means they might probably be accepted in one way or the other, making it look like, black people are just the problem. And with the fact that black people have been telling you guys for a very long time, for the longest of time, that no matter what you do, no matter the way you want to, sugarcoat it, you will not be accepted in a community, that have already placed you to be some type of way, Now, a lot of people are not wanting to get themselves associated with black people, because they don't want to be discriminated or, But you don't know that no matter what you do, you can also not be pink-colored. So if black people are telling you guys, do this, do that, don't look at it as if these people are doing that for their own selfish interests, They are telling you to do this or do that this way because they know what oppression means. They know that no matter what you guys, do, there is nothing that will make these other people put you people first. Now, they are saying America first for, in terms of job, security, H1B visas and all of that. But the American first, just like the way this Indian American woman talked about, we're supposed to be the real Americans. That's the black people and the indigenous people. If they're supposed to talk about the Americans first, the black people and the indigenous people. So
every other person, every other, minority group are all they're all visitors. The better people know about this, or the faster people know about this, the better for every other person. And I hope with all of the things that is happening with the visas and how these people don't want you guys to, I think it should actually be an eye opener. I'm saying this in the fact that during the case of affirmative action and the removal of affirmative action, like so many people, so many minority groups were all there, even when black people are trying to tell these people that no, they are not the people benefiting most. And that was actually when black people needed more voice in order to still keep affirmative action to date. But a lot of POC people were thinking that it actually benefits those people. Let not, come together with them to fight this. Let's leave them. Let them do their own thing. But now, you guys are the ones that is being fought. Anyway, lovelies, I saw this, and the way at which this sister actually broke all of it, pieces by pieces, and with this colorism of a thing, trying to call black people black. Like, even me myself, sometimes when I use that phrase black, I was like, black is not even black. Like, we are not black. We are probably maybe brown or light, caramel color or something. But that black has actually been placed in order to use it as a tool of discrimination. And a lot of both Indian, Asian, and all of that don't really want to get themselves associated because of that, the thing that comes with being black or being called black. But the truth is that black people are actually not black people. You can actually refer us to be brown or colored or something, because this issue of blackness is just a way, these colonizers used to place people that look like me as the black sheep. Anyway, lovely, so now just leave me your own thought in the comment section of what you think of this video. And please do not forget that we do not support any form of bullying and harassment. We are just here for educational and informative purposes. So please subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that, like, and I will see you lovely when I upload the next one.
Just leave me your own thoughts in the comment section of what you think of this video. Please subscribe to this channel if you're here to do that, like, and I will see you lovely when I upload the next one.